You know that feeling. You're in a conversation, you've got something really important to add, but you don't want to seem rude or pushy.
Oh, definitely. It's a real tightrope walk, isn't it? Especially in English.
Right. And we know you want to get up to speed quickly without feeling totally overwhelmed.
Hmm.
So we've kind of boiled down some really interesting stuff on this exact skill, polite interruption.
Yeah, the material you shared, it really gets into why this thing that seems simple is actually, well, pretty complex.
Hmm.
We're going to look at why English speakers often interrupt, but also why they sometimes, really dislike being interrupted.
And how phrases like, sorry to jump in can sound fine, while let me finish
Hmm.
just lands completely wrong.
Exactly. And even the nonverbal stuff, right? The little cues we use to try and get a word in.
Yeah. So the mission for this deep dive, basically give you some solid practical strategies, things you can actually use to interrupt politely and effectively, without causing any conversational chaos.
Sounds good. Let's dive in. So, one of the first things that really jumps out is this tension.
The paradox.
Yeah, the paradox of interruption. We all have this need, this drive to share our thoughts, to move the conversation along.
But
But at the same time, there's this really strong social pressure to be respectful, let people finish their thought.
okay, yeah, I see that. It's like we're built to connect and chime in, but we're also told don't cut people off. Yeah. So how do you even manage that?
Precisely. And the sources suggest the key isn't whether you interrupt, but, well, how you do it. The execution.
Ah, okay, so interrupting itself isn't automatically bad.
Not necessarily. It's all about the delivery, finding that sweet spot where you add value without, derailing things or seeming rude.
Right. And the material laid out these three golden rules. The first one really struck me. Acknowledge first, speak second.
Yes. This is crucial. It's almost counterintuitive, isn't it? Your instinct might be just to blurt out your idea.
Totally.
But think about the difference. Starting with, say, no, listen, versus something like, okay, I see your point, and maybe I could just add.
Huge difference.
Yeah.
The first one just shuts the other person down.
Exactly. While the second one signals, hey, I heard you, I respect your point, now I want to build on it. It's like a bridge.
A verbal olive branch, I think the source called it.
Yeah.
Like saying, I'm with you, not against you, which flows right into the second rule. Use transition words.
Mm-hmm. To soften the blow, as they put it. Simple words, but they make a big impact.
Things like building on that or to piggyback.
Yeah, or even just a quick thought on that. These phrases, they work like signposts. They tell the listener, okay, here comes an addition, but it's connected to what you just said.
So it's not just out of the blue. It feels smoother, more integrated, like you're actually listening, not just waiting to talk.
Right. It avoids that jarring shift.
Hmm.
And then the third rule, this is one I hadn't really thought about quite so consciously. Match the speaker's energy.
Yeah, explain that a bit.
Well, it's about social awareness, really. If someone's talking really enthusiastically, like super passionate,
Right.
then similarly energetic but still polite interruption shows you're engaged. You're on their wavelength. But if the mood is more serious, more measured,
You cut in softer?
exactly. A calmer, more deliberate interjection shows you respect the tone, the gravity of the discussion. It's about adapting.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. So we've got the how, but the sources also dug into the when, which feels just as important. When is it actually okay to jump in, and when should you maybe just bite your tongue?
Yeah, context is everything here.
Yeah.
The material points out some good times, like if a discussion is just going round and round in circles, not getting anywhere.
Or if you have genuinely critical info, right? Like the example they use, guys, that meeting, it's actually tomorrow, not next week.
Exactly. That's a valid reason. Or even just noticing a natural pause, a micro pause where someone takes a breath. That can be your opening.
Okay, so looking for those openings or when your input is actually needed. But then there are the definite don't interrupt zones.
Oh, absolutely. Number one, probably. When someone's telling a personal story or sharing something vulnerable, just let them finish.
Yeah, definitely. And interrupting someone senior, like your boss's boss,
Yeah,
maybe not the best career move sometimes.
probably not. Yeah. Requires careful handling. And then sensitive situations like a funeral or memorial, even if someone gets a fact wrong, probably not the time to correct them.
Slightly amused.
Wow.
Yeah, good call. Good perspective there. And there was that specific tip for interrupting superiors, wasn't there? The whisper.
Ah, yes, the might I add approach. Very subtle.
How does that work?
It's just low-key, you lean in slightly, maybe whisper it. It signals you have something, but without making a big show, without directly cutting them off mid-flow. Shows deference, but still gets your point across potentially.
Interesting. Okay, now this next part I found fascinating. The cultural interruption styles. Because polite isn't universal, even just within English-speaking places.
So true. And these are broad strokes, obviously,
For
generalizations.
sure.
But the sources pointed out some common patterns, like Americans, often seen as more direct. That jumping in real quick vibe, maybe using a bit of a perceived urgency.
Yeah, I can picture that. Fast-paced, get to the point. And the Brits,
The classic is supposedly the, sorry, just quickly, or sorry to butt in, but the apology is almost part of the interruption itself.
like a necessary lubricant for the social gears.
Kind of, yeah. It acknowledges the interruption is happening. And then Australians with the, yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
What does that even mean?
Apparently, it's a really informal, matey way to signal disagreement or a different take. Like, yeah, I hear you, nah, but I think this.
Okay.
Huh.
Yeah, nah. Gotta remember that one. And the practical tip, the listener hack, was basically adapt.
Exactly. Mirror the local style. Maybe talk a bit faster, be more direct in, say, New York.
But maybe lead with that, sorry, just in London.
Precisely. It shows you're paying attention to the local norms, makes your interruption feel less like an interruption, more like joining in their way.
Okay, cool. Then we move beyond words to body language. Sneaky interruptions, they called it.
Agrees. Yeah, this is the subtle stuff. Nonverbal cues.
Like the lean in, just shifting forward slightly.
Yeah, it signals intent. I've got something to say. Without actually saying anything yet. Or a little finger tap on the desk.
Just a light tap.
Yeah, very light, almost subconscious, a gentle request for attention.
And I liked the eyebrow raise combined with an sound.
Yeah.
Like you agree, but you also want to add something.
It's like a nonverbal yes and. Exactly. It primes the speaker, lets them know you're engaged and ready to contribute.
And what about if you try these things and you're just being ignored?
Well, the sources had the slightly more dramatic tips for that. The strategic cough,
Use the cough?
or the classic accidentally dropping a pen.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Create a small disturbance to create a pause.
Something like that. Maybe a last resort. But hey, sometimes you need that brief silence to make your entrance.
This is all really practical stuff. And it leads nicely into the final part, the listener challenge. Interruption spy.
Yeah, I like that. It's about making it active. Don't just listen to this, but actually look for it.
So the challenge is try to spot these techniques out in the wild, like in meetings or even other podcasts.
Exactly. And then try using them yourself. Swap out an abrupt but for a smoother to add to that or building on that.
And maybe experiment. Try a more British,
Yeah.
first approach or a more American quick thought approach, depending on the situation.
Right. See what feels comfortable, what works for you. We actually heard from a listener who tried building on that.
Oh, yeah. What did they say?
They said it made them feel much more articulate, more impactful. They joked they sounded Harvard level.
Uh-huh. See?
Yeah.
It works. These small tweaks can really change how you come across.
Definitely shows how much perception matters in communication.
So wrapping this all up, I guess the big takeaway is interrupting isn't inherently bad. It can be done well.
Absolutely. If you're thoughtful about it, if you acknowledge the speaker, use those transitions, match the energy,
That's the nonverbals.
use the nonverbals, yeah, it can actually be a really strategic, even positive part of a good conversation.
And, in a real pinch, maybe drop that pen.
Agrees.
Maybe just keep a pen handy.
So, thinking about all this, understanding these nuances in English-speaking settings, it could really make a difference, couldn't it? Professionally, personally, just helping your voice get heard respectfully.
It really could. Which leads to a final thought, maybe for everyone listening. How might using these techniques more consciously actually change your conversations going forward?
Yeah.
How might it shape your communication style?
Ooh, good question. Definitely something to chew on. Right, well, on that note, join us next time. We're going to be tackling the art of small talk and how to escape it.
Small talk.
Yeah.
We'll be trying to decode those seemingly innocent questions like, how about this weather? What's really going on there?
Looking forward to it.